The Lighthouse Keepers, from The Memoirs of an Olive Tree by E.B. Vargas. Sometimes you can be in just the right place at the right time and not even know it. What if you were the 1000th patient at the dentist office and for this reason were selected to go on an all-expense-paid trip to Disneyland along with your family? Going to the dentist wouldn't seem so bad after that. Ollie the Olive Tree remembers Jake, feeling alone on a rocky island, thinking he was in the wrong place as he kept watch at the lighthouse. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Exodus 3:6 NIV. Theirs are the patriarchs. Jake, you tricked me, Izzy complained to his brother. Jake had made a contraption using, among other things, a pulley hung over the branch of an olive tree, paintbrushes, and an oil barrel to streamline whitewashing the boathouse. He had convinced Izzy of his invention, only for Izzy to end up tangled in the pulley and covered in paint. And now Izzy was ready to slug his younger brother on the nose. Jake was too quick and ran off toward the sea. Life around the lighthouse was hard for old Abe and his two sons, Izzy and Jake, and with all Jake's tricks and harebrained ideas, it could be even harder. Old Abe found Izzy by the garden hose, trying to spray himself clean. Robbed of any time to relax, Izzy had scrubbed and scrubbed before the paint was washed from his hair. "Where's your brother Jake?" old Abe asked. "A big storm is coming, and the gutters and joints need inspection." "I don't know and I don't care." Nevertheless, Izzy, always willing, set off towards his work. "I guess I'll inspect the gutters. It won't be the first time I picked up Jake's slack." Jake was out by the cliff throwing rocks. "Rocks, rocks! I'm tired of this rocky old island. It's lonely here. When will it be my turn for adventure? When will I ever get to sail away, go wherever I want to go, do whatever I want to do?" His words, just like the rocks he threw, seemed to be swallowed up by the sea. The wind picked up. The sun was getting low in the sky. It was time to return to the lighthouse. Old Abe wound his way up the many stairs of the tower. He finally reached the lantern room. He was the first shift of the night. Izzy and Jake would take their turns after him. With hands that had done this 100 times, old Abe steadily opened the mantles and filled each well with oil. He trimmed and lit the wicks. The flames adjusted just right. He swung shut the doors and fastened each little catch. This done, old Abe sat in front of his logbook in the watchroom and wrote, "Heavy winds from the northwest. Clouds are beginning to brew." He watched and he watched as he had faithfully watched every day, month after month, year after year. A ship! There was Captain Nelson sailing back from the north right on schedule. Old Abe made a note of it in his log. It mattered not if he knew who was being guided by the lighthouse. There were weeks when it seemed only ships sailing under exotic foreign flags passed by. But no matter from where they came, captains were glad to see old Abe's light, warning of hidden dangers under the sea. A dark house. Ooh, how old Abe shuddered even at the thought. No, the lamps of the lighthouse must never go out. How great would be that darkness if ever he let that happen. He heard Jake's footsteps on the stairs. His shift was up. Old Abe passed Jake the logbook. "Missed you this afternoon, Jake. You know your brother Izzy and I need your help." "Get some rest, Father." Jake did not want to meet his father's searching eyes. The wind was getting stronger. The bellbuoy, moored just below in the sea, clanged out its warning to any ships which ventured too close to the rocks. But the sound just bothered Jake. The clouds grew darker. The clouds grew heavier. Down came the rain and sleet. The windows in the lighthouse started icing up. Grumbling, Jake wrapped himself in extra sweaters and overcoat. he climbed the ladder to the narrow balcony around the outside of the light. Jake struggled with the scraper as the wind buffeted him about. If it wasn't snow or sleet on the outside of the window, Jake was always cleaning soot on the inside. "I gotta come up with a better plan for doing all this," he schemed. He took off his wet coat and plopped down inside at his post again to watch. Oh, the night was long. Jake's eyes got heavier and heavier as he struggled to stay awake. A light began to flicker low. What was that? His heart pounded. The wind and rain continued to howl and the waves continued to crash. Jake stepped out onto the balcony. There it was again, the faint cry for help. Someone was adrift at sea. Had he fallen asleep? How many wells had run dry? What had he let happen? Jake sounded the alarm bell, calling for Izzy and Old Abe. Old Abe bounded up the tower. He saw the flames dying low. "Father, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not good enough to be a keeper of the lighthouse," Jake sobbed. "It's all right, son. You sounded the alarm just as I taught you. Go down now and get something warm to drink. I'll refill the wells. Your brother Izzy is already on the way." Now, the moment Izzy had heard the alarm, he jumped up and got dressed into storm clothes. On came the oil pants, overalls, and hip boots. On came the layers and layers of shirts and sweaters, and finally a huge overcoat. Izzy ran to the boathouse and lowered the skiff into the sea. Splash! With no thought for his own life, Izzy rode out into the waves. The skiff rocked up and down, to and fro. The sea splashed in his face. It was cold, it was windy, it was rainy. Listening for the cries for help, Izzy finally found several men. Their legs were stiff from the cold water. Their hands were splintered from clinging to broken boards from their sinking ship. Izzy reached down and pulled one man up, then another, then another. He could not tell how long it took. He only knew he had to save them. Finally, all were safe in the skiff. But now Izzy had to battle the sea as he rowed them back to the lighthouse. His arms ached, but still he rowed. As he came closer, they saw a light in the kitchen window. Jake had gone to the kitchen as his father had told him, but this time Jake had gotten busy. He gathered blankets and warm clothes. He cut up vegetables from their garden and put them in a big pot of chicken broth. He warmed bread in the oven and cut thick slices of cheese. Ripe, juicy olives fit for company sat in a glass bowl. When Izzy and the weary sailors came in, all was ready. "Wow, I'm impressed, Jake," Izzy complimented his brother. And oh, how those sailors feasted on that warm stew in their dry clothes. But Jake's eyes feasted on their joy. Warm and cozy in the kitchen as the wind and rain howled outside, Jake stood and watched and smiled. The cleaning and loneliness was all worth it even for just this one night. Those who were lost were now safe. Jake knew now that he, along with Izzy and Old Abe, would keep the lighthouse shining bright across the dark sea, for always and forever. Visit memoirsofAnOliveTree.com. Enjoy the entire series, including easy-to-read explanations for children, lesson plans for teacher, parents, crafts, games, songs, and more.